Hi, I'm Anoosha, and I'm a picture book illustrator. I wrote a book called Lost Stick that just came out. I recorded myself illustrating this book over a year ago, and I wanted to share a little peek into my process, so I'm doing a little artist diary video series. Today, I'm painting my characters for the first time. Enjoy! Hey friends, so we're doing something a little bit different today. I've always debated kind of sharing my in-progress picture book work, but I think it should be okay. I'm working on book 2. I'm gonna start to show you the initial pieces. This book is, originally I did want to do it digitally, but for the past year, because I've been getting more and more into traditional media, I got kind of cocky, or maybe I just got a sudden burst of energy, and I'm like, you know what? Let's try to illustrate this book traditionally. And today I am doing my very first attempts. For the past couple of months, I've been working on the manuscript. I very recently just finished up the clean sketches. I'm currently working on my color keys. See, the thing is, when I'm working digitally, what happens is that I don't like doing any sort of planning, even though I should. If my client asks for color keys, I will do them. But if it's just me, I kind of just prefer to wing it, and I will improvise my colors as I'm working on them. I don't know if the system has been really working for me or not, because I do find that I'll sometimes kind of stick to the safer options. Regardless, because I'm working traditionally, for this, I cannot play around and mess around. I can play around a little bit, but for the most part, I do need to plan my colors absolutely beforehand. For the past few days, I've been working on my color keys digitally on iPad, on Procreate, and hopefully I'll be done with that next week, so that I can start doing the actual painting. But today, because I got bored doing the color keys, I thought that I should start off with doing a test, just to see if I could possibly do it. So I have my 2 main characters, and I figured it would be a good idea to do some testing. And so I've drawn them out 4 times on my page, which I am using Archer's hot press paper at 300 pounds, although I might be switching it to the 180 or whatever that one is, because oh my god, the other day, goodness gracious, the other day I went to the art supply store thinking that I want to get the Archer's 300-pound paper, but I need to get it in the hugest 20 by 30 size, because that's how big I need my spreads to be. And for one single sheet, it's like 27 bucks. Yeah, it was crazy. And so I bought it, and I got really stressed out that I don't know, I can fit 2 spreads on a page, but I don't know if I can is it worth it or not? So I asked some of my traditional media friends, and they said that I should be fine. I don't need to do 300-pound weight. The 180 or whatever should be enough for painting, because it's not especially because it's a book, it's just going to be scanned up. No one's actually going to be feeling this paper afterwards. So I'm glad I only got 1 sheet, and then I'll try out the 180 later as well. For now, I'm gonna, because I have my small papers, I'm just gonna use them for the test. But yes, so I have illustrated, and let me perspect over it. In advance, I want to apologize for the lighting. Lighting is poo-poo garbage. As much as I love day lighting, I just need more light here right now because it's a cloudy day. I have drawn my 2 main characters 4 times on this page. Twice in my red color race and twice in just plain old pencil, because I'm not really sure what's gonna work best under paint. I still haven't figured out what I like more. And then because my character, he's a little dog, he's a little sheepdog, he is pure white. And I really want him to stand out in all of my pages. And I'm playing around with either doing paper cut and sticking him on top. So I'm gonna do another cutout version of him. I'll try that out later. But what I think could be interesting is that on the page, I'm gonna keep it as illustrated as possible, and he will be completely white blank. Okay, so I'm gonna play around with that. But obviously I'm gonna have spots where there's gonna be the white background. And so in those instances, I will have him as very, 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 very lightly colored, kind of like a light gray. So that's why I've drawn them twice. For these top 2, I'm gonna paint a little background around them and keep him white. And then in these 2, I'm gonna paint him in that very light gray color, which I have to figure out. First off, I'm going to paint this little page around him. I'm still trying to figure this out, and you guys know me. I've always been a digital painter, and I'm so used to the undo button. I'm so used to being able to zoom in and out. And most importantly, like I can be like a total perfectionist because I know that I can just, like I said, I can undo, I can paint and repaint, and I can make as many changes as I want to make it as precise as possible. However, as you can see here, you know, you can't do that with real paint. You're gonna have those messy little bits. And as much as I want to, I like really want to just zoom in because I don't want to accidentally get paint over my characters right now. I know I could potentially do the, what do you call it? Have like the masking fluid on top. And maybe I'll do a test with that as well. I haven't used masking fluid since I was in art school. So I've forgotten how to use it, first of all. But I think I also just need to be okay with like being messy. And definitely for this book, because like I think I said this before in like another studio vlog, where as a digital illustrator, I still like really try my best to emulate the look of traditional media. And that means that in my digital work, I try to include those little messy mistakes, right? Like the little paint splatters, the little paint going over the character. And yet, even though I try my best to like recreate those things digitally, for some reason, when it comes to traditional media, I just don't want that to, oh my God, look at my brush. It's so nasty. Yeah, I'm just trying to be okay with like the little mistakes and stuff. And more so than anything, I think I'm going to try to really embrace them for this book. I'm still trying to find out my visual style. I've been watching a lot of like Rebecca's Patreon videos, and I really admire, she's been saying that she's been trying not to go with her very first instinct, never do what's boring, always try to do the unexpected. And when you have like a certain style, you kind of just fall into the same old habits. And I definitely feel I've been doing that, which is not great. That's kind of like not cool as an artist. I mean, no, let me take that back. Sorry. It is totally fine to do. I'm totally taking that back. It is totally fine to do that. However, that is not something that I want to be doing. I feel like I am stagnant with my work. It's totally fine if you have kind of like found what you're good at, but like that can also for some people mean being stagnant and not really evolving, not really changing. And I have definitely been feeling that with my work for quite a little while. And so when I was doing my color keys, I was really trying to be like, what is something unexpected? What is something that I would not do? But I kept going back to like my same old style preferences. And so I feel like if I attempt like this traditional media, I can kind of go beyond, you know, what I'm used to, stuff that doesn't really come too naturally to me, and allow myself, I think most importantly, to allow myself to be okay to make those mistakes. So I think normally if I was painting, I would kind of have this all be the exact same sort of color, you know, but here I'm just like, you know what, forget about it. I'm just like mixing colors however I want. I really do not care. I mean, this is also just like a test, but you know, we shall see, we shall see. But I don't like this. I do want to make sure that's covered up. So it's, you know what, let's add like, maybe this wasn't a good idea. I'm like adding like a little beigey layer on top, but it might not be fitting with the rest of this green that I've got going on. But you know what, like this foresty green did end up being a little bit too bright for my liking, so I'm just going to cover it up, and I'm going to cover it up over here as well. Yeah, visually right now in my color keys, my palette that I have going on, kind of like my visual style, my books palette, is that it is extremely bright, it is extremely like fluorescent, and it's got like some weird highlighter colors in. And if any of you know my work, I am very anti-highlighter colors. I like pretty much, oh, this was way too bright. Pretty much never, ever use them in my artwork, because I much prefer like a very muted palette, much more like pastel, very natural. But I'm like, you know what, Anoosha, we are all about taking risks and so on. But my point being is that I have like something planned. I do have like my color keys planned, but I am also going in with the intention that like I'm gonna like mix it up like once I actually work on it, because it's entirely possible that like the stuff that I'm trying to like that I'm envisioning in my color keys just will not be possible with actual paints, you know? Because like I use like this kind of like really bright blue in certain areas, but I don't know if that's something that I can actually make, because pigments be pigmented, but some of them can't go like as much as you'd like. Okay, so I've got this background done over here. I do have colors planned out for my character, so she's gonna have like dark hair, a white shirt, red pants, and she's gonna match with the dog character, because I absolutely love when like a dog and their owner match. Okay, as you can see, I've already started this up a little bit. I was just kind of playing around with the colors and messing around with it a little bit, because I have, okay, so I use a combination of the Arteza gouache, which I bought like, well actually, did I buy it? Yes, I bought it like in 2019, which, and it's like a decent gouache set, you know. It's, I think it's something like 100 different colors, and it's really relatively cheap, you know, for like how much you're getting. And if you are like a new illustrator, it's quite, you know, it's quite good. And as someone initially, because like I'm of a different mindset now because I've been practicing more, but initially I was like very anti mixing paint because I'm so, you know, I'm not used to it as a digital artist. And so I thought that the idea of like having like a million paint colors would be great, because then I would never, ever have to mix paints around. You know what I mean? So it was great, but then I started experimenting with like the Holbeins and the Winsor Newtons. And I did find that like while there are some paints in my Arteza set that I still really like to use, most of them just go unused. And I actually do need to sort through them one day and just like, because I have like this huge box that is just taking up space, and I have to like rifle through it every time I need like that paint that I really want. So one of these days I have to go through it and try to figure out like, okay, what are the ones that I actually like? And I'll keep it in like a little toolkit or something. And then everything else can just kind of stay in the box in a corner. But for right now, the skin is like, because I'm going to be drawing this character a whole lot throughout the book, I want to make sure that her palette is not too difficult. Like, you know, like her skin color especially is not going to be difficult for me to recreate every single time I mix paints. So initially, I'm using a combination of like the Arteza, it's called Light Apricot, with a little bit of the Holbein Naples Yellow mixed into it to give it like a little bit of, because I found that it was a little bit too pinky pink. And then just to like make it blend in with the green a bit more, I added a teeny bit of that little green to it as well. So that is quite a few colors, as you can see. But again, the other thing that I've kind of been like realizing is, yes, I might not have the exact color every single time. However, that's what leads to these very interesting, kind of like layered, lots of like texture and depth to my colors, because like there's so much variance to them. So the only place I don't want it is like around the eye area, because you can see I've got a little bit of like darkening around her eye. So that's going to be really frustrating to fix or try to fix later. But otherwise, I think like, see, you can see like a little bit of like the yellow paint coming through, a little bit of the apricot paint coming through, a little bit of the green, which I think looks pretty visually interesting. And so, although it will be frustrating, I know at times when I just can't get that right color mixed in, it's not all bad, because I do get some pretty fun results out of it. Just trying to get these toes without mixing and upsetting my green background underneath. What? I think that should be fine. And we are done with this today. All right, friends, we're back in the studio. I'm gonna start with her hair now. I don't wanna do like a pure brown. I'd like something with like a little bit more depth I think maybe something a little bit more bluier, because I find like I definitely want to do like more black hair, you know, but obviously like I don't want to go pure black either, because I don't want to keep it like flat, right? And I definitely have this issue where like I think like if you're trying to draw black hair, and I've done this a lot, I will instead like do like a really dark brown, but that isn't the same thing, right? And so instead of like pulling up the lightness by adding in like a lighter brown to like make it brighter, I think like going into like a cooler shade is your best bet. So here I'm doing like a more of a mix with like a bluier shade. So I'm doing a combination. I'm doing like a brown, like it's called Bordeaux red. That's like my base. And then I'm going over it with like a sky blue and then a Prussian blue. The sky blue is like a very light blue, and that's giving like more of like that gray tone to it, because I don't want to add any white if I can help it. And then the Prussian blue is like a really beautiful, rich, like very royal blue. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that's going to be like the thing that really adds that like pop of like color, you know, that really vibrant blue to it. And I'm thinking that like for like the back hairs, like over here and over here, the more pure like dark blue, and then kind of higher up I'll have it lighter and add more of that sky blue to it. So like I said, I wanted to try to match these colors as much as possible. So whatever color I use over here is going to be used for Peppy's little ears and nose. And I also don't want to go too dark, because what I'm thinking is I will also add color pencil on top, because I love the idea of having like maybe like a grayer tone, and then on top of that having like some dark, maybe even black pencil etchings over it. I think that could be quite interesting. So yeah, I'm just gonna carefully try to paint this over. You can also see that like with my peachy tones over here, I forgot to color it up over here. Thankfully, I didn't wash out my palette, so I still have those colors. So yeah, I'm gonna continue painting this. I'll do these, and then we'll see from there. Hey, this is Anoosha from the future here. So one of my art studio colleagues had come in, and so I couldn't, you know, voice over anymore. So now that she is gone, I figured I could just do a little bit of narration over here, just go over what I did. So future me has already completed 2 of these so far, this one that you're seeing right now, and another version to the right of it, which is the one without the background and having like an off-white where the dog would be and the shirt would be and all of that. So you're not going to see me do too much painting. Unfortunately, again, it's just because of this filming setup is so annoying and I'm so bothered by the lighting. But you guys, hopefully soon-ish I will have like that permanent studio space and I can have like a proper filming setup. But for now, I just wanted to say that like I'm really happy with how these tests came out. You can see me over here going over my dark areas with like a kind of grayish tone, and I would end up putting like a little bit of color pencil over those areas. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out so far. So this first version that I did, I absolutely loved how the dog popped against the green, because, you know, that's like the kind of contrast I was looking for. So like I said, this is for my second author illustrator book. And again, I don't know how much I can say, but it is going to be a story about this little dog who goes on an adventure. And if you have seen my first book, That's Not My Name, it is very character focused and the backgrounds are completely non-existent. It's very white. But for this book, I really wanted it to be like background heavy with like a lot of details and a lot of like colors and vibrant, you know, buildings, landscapes, all of that. And I thought it'd be really fun if we had like a dog character who is in the middle of all of those, and he's just like stark white. So he's always going to be the focal point, because I don't think I'm going to use white at all in the rest of the paintings. I might use like an off-white, but to really bring about like a strong contrast. I really wanted to have like him stand out. And as people have said in the past, you know, you can't get whiter than the page itself, you know. You could use like your white paint to paint on top, but that is never going to be as white as your paper. So if you really want to have that stark contrast, then it's, you know, use the paper. As much as I love the dog, I was not super happy with the girl character because, I don't know, like the colors were a little bit off. And just in general, I feel like I haven't gotten the neatness down. I know I said that like I'm trying to be okay with not being neat, but the girl has like a very sweet, innocent face in my sketches. And you can see like the finished product over here. And she's cute, but she doesn't have that innocence that was clear in my original sketch. And so those are like the small details that like I just couldn't do. But I think the dog looks absolutely amazing. You can see like the little texture I have on top of him. I might go in with extra detail on Photoshop afterwards for his bandana. And also for the little girl, I was not sure what to put on her shirt. But the second version that I did, I've messed around with the color palette a little bit more, and I think the second version is so much better. You can see my messy little setup here. Oh my goodness, it was really frustrating working in this area just because I had no space to put anything. My iPad is all the way up there where I can barely reach it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I thought it was kind of fun, and I hope you learned something, and I hope it wasn't too boring. And yeah, hopefully I can do more of these in the future. But let me know if you have any other questions too. Okay, bye.